Merry meet guys, welcome back to my channel. Tonight I wanted to do Creole Witch's Getting to Know You tag. It's a 10 question tag that he came up with, I think, a little while ago. I saw a couple people's responses to it and I wanted to share my points of view. This isn't really witchy, it's more on a personal getting to know you basis. And I do have the questions in a little notebook, so if you see me looking down, um, I'm reading and probably thinking because I haven't thought these out. So, but question number one, and I'll type in the questions, and I'll type and have a link to Creole Witch's video in the description box after once I have it uploaded. So, the first question is, what is your favorite time of year? My favorite time of year has to be in the fall. When it's getting cooler outside and when it's not so cold yet. Even though I do like winter, I like winter and fall. I do like the cold. I like it better than I like summer. I'm not a big heat and hot heat fan at all. I'm not a big summer fan just because here in the South it's very humid. If it was maybe a dry heat, I might be okay. But since I've only known humid heat, I wouldn't know. So I would have to say spring, or not spring, but fall and winter are my two favorite. I'm not a big fan of spring just because of pollen in my sinuses. They go haywire, so not a big fan of that. Even though it's beautiful, it's pretty with all the flowers and stuff, my nose and my sinuses just can't take it. Number two, describe your perfect home. I actually have a couple different ones because I really want to move, and so I've looked at a couple different houses. But I would have to say my perfect home would probably be definitely not in the city where I'm living now, or definitely not in a city in general. It'd probably be out in some kind of country, whether it be an old Victorian style home. It's either the Victorian style home or the Southern ranch home. Is something that I'm drawn to. I like the elegance of the Victorian style. Kind of. We had one back in my hometown. It's actually up for sale. Only I can get the money for it, I would get it. It's purple. It's one of the only reasons why I would. Well, not one of. It's not one of the only reasons, but it's one of the reasons why I want it. My favorite color is purple. But I would have to say that or a Southern ranch home, which with a nice fireplace, open kind of floor plan. I don't care if it's one or two levels. I don't really mind the the levels. I don't really care if it's all on one or if it's on two. It's fine. I also want a nice yard, front and back, like a small front yard if possible, and a huge backyard, and a way to make that a little private. So I could have ritual or have a pool back in the back and have my own kind of private thing going on back there. I think that'd be my dream home. Um, and not really close to people. I'm not a big fan of. Um, I wouldn't be a big fan of having neighbors right on top of me. Kind of like how we are now, where there's like a person that's like maybe 20 feet in front of us. But I live in a lot, so that's kind of what happens. So, but yeah, I think that'd be it. Somewhere out, like not in the city limits, but almost like a suburb, almost type area. But I have space in between, and it can be private. So I would say more in the country than suburban because I'm mixing my words up. More so in the country, and kind of with trees surrounding, kind of privacy and things like that. I think that'd be my perfect. It's more about the yard and the privacy than it is the actual house. I think I can make do with any house that I move into as long as I'm happy with the outside area and feeling safe, of course. Living in North Charleston, it's one of the top things on my list is to feel safe when I come home. Number three, which is an interesting one. If you couldn't if you couldn't be a witch anymore, or you couldn't witch anymore, what religion or faith would you choose? I think I would choose almost kind of like everyone else. or at least everyone I've seen. I would choose something that's non not aggressive. It kind of goes with the flow. So probably actually, if I couldn't witch anymore, there's so many different magical paths. So um, I would probably go with Buddhism, or I would go with atheism or agnostic, questioning everything. Probably be agnostic. Um, so yeah, or I would just say spiritualist, but then it's still part of a witch to an extent. So I'd probably say Buddhism. Buddhism would probably be what I lean more towards, or this keeps popping in my head, but or Shinto. I've studied a little bit of it, and it sounds like a super interesting religion and culture. So those are my two. That if I couldn't witch anymore, I would probably choose one of those and follow that path. Number 4. What is the most creative thing about me? Well, I'm a photographer. I went to photography school for 4 years. I was unable to get my blah, 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 blah. I was unable to get my bachelor's due to financial reasons. Um, for me, like a dummy, I chose a private art school instead of a technical college or things like that, or a place like that, um, which I did learn a lot, and I'm taking the experience as a go with the flow. So I love um, getting behind my camera and creating images of events, mostly performances. I also love going out and taking portraiture in nature, and as well as doing Photoshop creation and things like that, and compositing. So I think that's one of the most creative things about me. Um, I also like to, at least I used to, write short stories. Um, I used to write short stories, more fantasy wise, where I'd incorporate my friends and stuff, um, and go more off of kind of like the fantasy world that some video games and things were based out of, to that extent. My phone just made a noise. Um, so I'd say photography and writing. I need to pick back up writing again. Um, but photography for sure. Getting behind the camera is one of my most favorite things, and I can be really creative when I'm behind the camera. So, number 5 is my phone going off. It's getting on my nerves. Um, number, hold on. Okay, that was my manager. Um, number 5, something that scares me. Um, I think what really scares me the most is uncertainty. Um, like for me, it makes me really nervous and really anxious. I have been wanting to get out of this job, for a long time, but the underlying fear, which I know is holding me back, is when I get this job, am I going to be able to keep it? Are they going to be able to work with me with my health condition? Is it going to put more stress on me? Is it going to put me in the hospital? Am I cut out for it? So I think what scares me the most is uncertainty and not knowing um, about certain things, like everyday future things. That doesn't like scare me to death, about like what tomorrow's going to bring or things like that. It's more about uncertainty when it comes to living situations and financial stability. I think that's what scares me the most is if I don't have a job, how am I going to survive? if I quit this job that I have now and move to another one, am I going to be able to, or am I going to be able to keep up with it? Am I going to be able to stay? Um, I think a lot of it has to do with my anxiety and nerves on that situation. Um, but that is the only really thing that I can think of that really makes me second guess myself and makes me stop and gets me in my head a lot. Um, Makes me spin around in circles mostly and go back and forth to where I'm like almost have like a nervous breakdown. I don't know if you would call that fear, more anxiety. Um, I would say another thing that scares me um, used to be spiders, but I've kind of gotten over that a little bit, just a tad bit. Um, but I would have to say uncertainty in financial situations, and where living expenses and living is concerned. That's what scares me the most, because I want to be able to live financially stable and not have to extremely stress over any of the bills or anything like that. I know stressing over the bills, it's part of life now, but I don't want to have to stress over it so much where I have to go outside of, or move to a place that's worse off so we can afford it. I'm probably just talking myself in circles, and I apologize. I'm gonna go ahead and go with the next one. Next question. It's number 6. Who is your hero? I'd have to say my mom is my hero, through a lot of troubling times and through a lot of crap that she deals with at her job. She works at a hospital. Um, she's able to still have a smile on her face and have an upbeat personality around others. I know when she comes home, she's not negative. She's still happy, but you can see that it's tearing away at her a little bit. A little by little, it's tearing away at her. But she's a very strong woman, and so is my dad. Um, they're both very strong, and I'm very thankful that I have them as parents. So I'd have to say both of them are my heroes. They've been through a lot of tough times, and they still managed to take care of me and my little brother. We didn't have a hard upbringing. We didn't have a rough upbringing or anything, but there were times that things did get tough for them, and they kept on pushing through, and yeah. So I'd have to say those guys are my heroes, my parents, my mom and dad. So number 7, tell us about an animal that you have loved with all your heart. Um, well, thankfully, this animal is still alive. He is my golden retriever back home. He is 12 years old. I got him when I was in high school. Damn, that makes me sound old. Was it high school or middle school? I think it was middle school. Middle school. It was middle school. I got him in middle school. And he is the most loving ball of fur you can think of. Since we're kind of on like a farm back home, he's not an indoor dog, he's an outdoor dog. But every time I go home, I have to go out there and see him, brush him, take him for walks and things like that, just be around him. He's not my familiar. I don't have a physical familiar. The spirits that I work with, um, they work as my familiar. I haven't had that experience yet where I've had a physical animal that was mine want to be a part of magic. When I was at my sister's, we were doing magic over at her place, creating a candle or doing a ritual or something. Some of her cats would come in and join in and sit either on my lap, like we were sitting on the floor, or they'd sit beside me like if we're standing up in circle inside, they'd sit beside my feet or lay across my feet or walk through the circle, you know, and kind of raise energy. But those are her familiars, and they're not mine. So I don't have a physical familiar, but Teddy is an animal, and he's a pet that he's part of the family that I love with all my heart. And it's going to be a really hard day when he passes. So, and hopefully that's not anytime soon. So, number 8. Yep, number 8. Do I believe in soulmates? I do, but I also believe that, like everyone else says, that we have more than one. And I do believe that there's soulmates that are for romantic purposes, or romantic soulmates, and I do believe that there are friend or platonic soulmates, that we've been friends, best friends, throughout many lifetimes, and when we meet each other, it just clicks. And the same thing for romantic partnerships and romantic soulmates. You know, you've been together with them for so many lifetimes that when you meet them, it clicks. So yeah. Number 9. Would you rather create art or view art? I would rather create art. You could be behind my camera or draw or something like that and create art. But I also like to view other artwork. It kind of gives me inspiration. But I would rather create art. And lastly, number 10, your favorite body part. Don't really have a favorite body part. I would have to say what captivates me the most, I guess my favorite body part would be my eyes. Just because I like the way, you know, I have glasses on and everything, but I like the way that the blue in my eyes, it changes depending on the light and on my mood. So I like that. Other than that, I don't think I really have a favorite body part. I like to think positive about my whole body. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. And like I said, I will post the questions and Creole Witches video in the description box. If you have any questions or comments or anything for me from this video or any other video, comment down below. Will definitely get back to you on those. And until next time, many blessings.